What's up, good people? Welcome to TajeAstrology. It's time for a little astrology gossip. Let's take a look at these celebrities' astrological placements to see what they're really like behind closed doors and take a look at the energy that's around them. Yeah, we gonna be all up in their business, but keep in mind that all readings are for entertainment purposes only. So you ready? Let's go. What's up, everyone? It's your girl Tan, and it's time for another Taje astrology reading. Okay, so this one is a little bit different than what I normally do. I normally do the couples compatibility reading to see how the couples are compatible. Now, if you go back into my archive, you will see what about a year ago and then 3 years ago, I did one on Remy and Pap, and then not too long ago, I did one on Pap and Claressa. So go ahead, check those out if you haven't already checked out. So what I decided to do this time, because there's all types of rumors and they're still trending. So I figured, okay, they're still trending. Let's take a look to see what's going on. There's rumors that Remy has withdrew her divorce papers, and that her and Pap is still messing around, and that they're working together to get money from Claressa, or Claressa's the money that she makes is going to pay off their debt. They're just playing games and just all types of stuff that has come out as far as like the podcasters, the YouTubers, and what have you. Now, what I decided to do was to take a look at their year ahead. Now, this won't be a full, like a solar return reading, but more so a year of perfection. And in astrology, the year of perfection is the year that you turn that corresponds with a certain energy. And so, what I decided to do was take a look at all three upcoming year of perfection to see what energy, what the theme is going to be for that year. Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about today, to see what's going on with these three, because I have a feeling they're going to be trending and top of the news for a minute. All right, so let's see. Let's take a look at Remy. Okay. Okay, so Remy, she is moving into her 46th year of perfection. Of course, she is a Gemini. And so the 46th year of perfection touches the 11th house. Okay. And that is a Capricorn ruler, Saturn in Virgo. Um, so the core theme for the 11th house, is going to be like restructuring, alliances, long-term goals under scrutiny, karmic accountability, and karmic accountability through community. Okay. Now let's take a look. We're going to bounce around a little bit here because it's a lot of information. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can. Now with Pap, okay, wait, that's still ringing. Hold on. There we go. With Pap, his year of perfection is the first house, and that's the Aries ruler, right? And so for the core theme for him is going to be redefining his identity through emotional protection, loyalty, and vulnerability. Okay. And for the GWOT, there we go. She is moving into her 31st year of perfection, right? And that is represented by the 8th house, Scorpio ruler. All right, and we do know that Scorpio has two Mars and Pluto. And so her theme is going to be internal transformation, powerful reclamation, and karmic intimacy lessons. And I really kind of found that interesting just based on everything that has been going on, right? Um, because people are taking a look at Clarissa and they're like, you have some that are mad that she's messing with a married man, uh, and that she's not walking in her power. And uh, people are still favoring Remy and as the wife, and there's just certain there's still a hierarchy here, right? And then everybody's pretty much mad at Pap because of what he's quote unquote doing to Clarissa, as well as what he has quote unquote done to Remy. Now, what I did notice is that with Remy, Venus is currently transiting her house of Aquarius, right? And that's touching her house of home, her Cancer house, right? So one of the themes for her this year is going to be home, roots, family, self-care, emotions, foundation, all right? And we know that Cancer is also the energy of the mother, children, women, and femininity. So I think that she's going to be focusing a lot on her home, uh, self-care, okay, family, and then just the foundation, all right, just her overall foundation. Now with Pap's Venus, and we know that Venus is the love planet. That's the reason why I'm touching on all their Venuses. Now his Venus is currently transiting his house of Aquarius, which is touching his house of Pisces, right? And that Pisces represents which is hidden. It also represents like endings, healing, closure, spirituality, solitude, karma, and limiting beliefs, and also the subconscious. Okay. And then when we move to Clarissa is currently having her Venus return, which means that Venus has returned to the exact spot that it was when she was born. And it is transiting her house of Aquarius, right? And so what that means to me is that she is reevaluating love, money, and what brings her pleasure. Also like social awareness, hopes, and wishes for the future. Now, when I take a look at their charts, and I'm not going to pull up their charts because it's just really a bunch of codes and symbols and stuff like that. So for Remy, I believe, according to her year of perfection, that she's going to be focusing on like strategic alliances, okay? All right, I think she is going to like weed through her friends. So she's going to kind of move towards stronger supporters, right? And I think her theme is going to be quality over quantity. I think she's going to be working on her professional credibility, respect earned through consistency and discipline. And I think that this year she's going to redefine her goals, her long-term visions become more realistic and make things more executable. She may find herself in like some mentorship roles, right? And become like some type of authority figure within her circle. And like organize like a support system or support team or management, or like create this network to become more efficient in what it is that she does. All right. Now, I believe that her challenges, Remy's challenges this year, is like cold distancing, emotional separation from friends and group. There are going to be some people that she's going to have to step away from for whatever reason. Because I'm just reading the theme that it may be a little bit challenging, but she knows she's going to have to do it. I think that she may come across some challenges regarding disappointment when others don't meet her expectation. And I think that despite the success, she might have a feeling of being alone, even though that she's at the top. So she might have this feeling of like isolation. And then I think she's going to be dealing with criticism within her circles. And that may be the reason why she's moving away from some people or what have you. But just the judgment or the scrutiny from her peers, right? And then also, we know that Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, that's karmic ending. So friendships end, and it may be due to just misalignment or like obligation fatigue, right? So I think that's just some of the energy that Remy is going to be dealing with. Now, let's move over to Pat. All right. So I think that some positive energies that he's going to be dealing with in his, what is it, 48th year of perfection. All right. Protective leadership, strong defender of self and loved ones. Right. So he's going to be standing in the gap, kind of in that protector mode for the people that he loved and for himself. Right. Sometimes Pisces do have the tendency to put themselves in a martyr spot. And I think that this year he's going to kind of stand up for himself this year in ways that maybe he hasn't done for himself. I think that he is going to be focusing on emotional courage, right? And the willingness to fight for emotional truth. So it looks like that he may on some level be kind of moving away from that victim, which is really typical for just Pisces in general, and focusing on what is true, what is emotionally true for him. I think that he's going to be reclaiming his identity, right? Redefining his masculinity, his strength and purpose, because he's kind of taking a hit, from some people by even just dating Claressa, just with her just being a fighter. And so, of course, you have some people that said, oh, well, she's not feminine enough. And so I think that he is going to just reclaim his own masculinity and just not even worry about what other people are saying. I think that also with this energy, it's family centered. All right. So it's like family centered motivation. And in his actions, his moves, his actions that he's going to be doing are going to be driven by like an emotional bond. Okay. And I think the resilience for self-image, like I said before, strength through care, not dominance, which I think is very, very important if you go and take a look at the Remy and Pap video, couples read that I did with that. Now, I think some challenges for Pap is going to be emotional reactivity, right? So making sure that he's not acting from hurt, but instead logic. And we know that Pisces have an emotional, they feel sometimes. Not moving from a defensive standpoint, not taking things personal, and letting go of that passive aggressive conflict and that indirect anger that he may sometimes exhibit. He also may be challenged with like mood driven decisions, right? Inconsistency in direction, identity strain, torn between independence and emotional duty. I think that could be very, very interesting in this year coming up. Now, when we take a look at Clarissa, all right, now mind you, her eighth house, her year perfection is in the eighth house, it's Scorpio, right? And the one thing that we do know about Scorpio is that that is transformation, right? It's transformation, it's uh, endings, it's killing off stuff so that new beginnings can emerge, right? And so I think the energy that she is going to be facing this year is like an inner powerful awakening. Okay, discovering strength through introspection. All right, I believe she's going to like come into like a psychological mastery, confronting fears and emerging stronger because that's what Scorpio energy is about. I think she is going to maintain or reclaim her magnetic presence, right? And I think through quiet intensity, and sexual depth. I think that also with this energy, there's karmic release. So I think she's going to be breaking ancestral and emotional cycles that no longer serve her higher good. And like self owned power. Okay. This is very big for a Pisces that no longer is giving energy away subconsciously. Now, some challenges that she may experience is suppressed anger, right? Internalizing rage that may surface unexpectedly, all right? Control struggles, power battles in intimacy, emotional withdrawal, retreating instead of expressing her needs as she should, right? And then with trust wounds, like old betrayals may resurface, so something may trigger something else, and then it's just an explosion. And I think she's going to be moving into an all or nothing pattern, right? And I think that this year is going to be difficult for her to stay in gray areas. Now, as far as like relationship reflection for each of them, all right? So let me pull up Rim. Okay. So Saturn in Virgo brings practical love test. Okay. Practical love test. Relationship pressures come from outside responsibility and not lack of love. Partnerships survive if both people are working towards the same future vision. If one partner resists structure, accountability, or maturity, the separation becomes likely. So, her overall relationship reflection in this year for this, uh, uh, in regards to her love or relationships, is that love must function like a long term plan, not just a feeling. Okay? Now, when we dealing with Pap and his relationship reflection, this year is asking him, who do I protect and who protects me? He's going to be driven more towards relationships that thrive if emotional safety is mutual and dealing with conflicts that arises when feelings are like bottled up. If a partner invalidates emotions, the resentment is going to build fast. And so his like bottom line is love becomes deeply personal. Emotional security is the battlefield. Okay. Now, moving on to Clarissa, relationships become transformational or terminate. So if you're not moving in the manner in which she feels is beneficial for her higher self, he's willing to terminate. Emotional honesty is mandatory and silence breeds rupture. So her partners may feel shut out if depth isn't shared. Sexual and emotional power dynamics are unavoidable. And so her bottom line for this upcoming year is love transforms through shadow work and avoidance equals loss. Right? And I think that's pretty powerful. Love transforms through shadow work and avoidance equals loss. And so what I hear from that is that not only shadow work regarding relationships, but transforming love for self. So when I take a look at these three, which very interesting three I might add. The question is, okay, or one of the questions is Pap and Remy conspiring to basically use Claressa? Is Pap like only dealing with Claressa to get money to help pay off debt or to get Remy in a good financial position? Where we do know that there's videos out there where Remy has said that Pap don't have no money. He's not really, like that. He has been the financial boss of the relationship. So the answer, that could be, but that could be a situation. And based on the astrological placements and the astrological connection between Pap and Remy, or shall I say the connection that Pap has towards Remy, he could potentially sacrifice Remy for Pap. Remy, or he could sacrifice Claressa for Remy. Now, I've said that Remy has been done with Pap, but will she play him? Maybe, potentially, possibly. See, I believe that Gemini will play games to get under the skin of Claressa. I believe that if Claressa had just taken her man in silence and waited until Remy and Pap's divorce was final before going public and claiming him publicly and, kind of playing in Remy's face, I think this would have gone a whole lot different. But I think how Claressa handled it, because Remy knows her place. She knows her place in this matter. She knows at this point her power, her place, and her influence in this, right? And I do think that since Claressa has been kind of playing in Remy's face, Remy, aka the Geminis are the tricksters of the Zodiac signs. And they like to play mind games. So yes, I do believe that Remy could potentially use Pap to get at Claressa. I believe that she could play mind games with Pap, thinking that he might have a chance just to fuck up things between him and Claressa. Yes, because that's Gemini's energy. Now, whether she does it or not, I'm just reading the energy of the astrological placements, right? Everybody makes their own choices. Everybody makes their own decisions. So, there's a possibility there. Yeah. And Pap knows in his heart is with Remy. I think we all know that. We all know that Pap loves Remy. Now, I'm not saying that he don't love Claressa. I think that he has very strong feelings for Claressa. They have a lot of common aspects. There's a lot of shared energy. but he loves Remy. His heart is with Remy, but he also knows there's loyalty in Claressa, right? So there's that. Now, the unfortunate thing about this is that Pap and Claressa's relationship can't go any further than Pap, which in turn can't go any further than Remy. I believe that if Remy said, "All right, let's get back together," they're getting back together. I said this in their reading, in Pap and Claressa's reading. You know, now if Pap has those rose-colored glasses on her, pertaining to Remy, he'll fall for it. Remy, I believe, is done according to the astrological placements, according to her own words. And I hate when I'm listening to people, the YouTubers, and they're like, "Oh, Pap just needs to leave Claressa and go back to Remy." Remy don't want Pap, not in a for real in love situation. So they're just taking away Remy's power. Remy is the one who left Pat. People are acting like Pap left Remy and left Remy for Claressa, even though they were kind of fucking around, but he was still with Remy. So I did hear that Remy withdrew her divorce papers. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's false. I don't know. But I can see that happening because Claressa has been kind of, she's a Pisces. So she's living in a land of delusion. She wants the same level of recognition and hierarchy that Remy has. And that hasn't happened. And it's not going to happen as long as he is legally tied to Remy. Now, I personally don't think that divorce papers are the end all be all. If a person steps out on their marriage or out on that commitment, in my opinion, it's done, and the paperwork is just a legality, right? So I'm not so much tied into that. I'm more so tied into where the heartstrings at. So if Remy withdrew her divorce papers, is it because she wanted to get back with Pap, or is it because she just wants to send a message to Claressa that, bitch, I'm still the wife and I still control things? More than likely that. And at the end of the day, Pap needs to make a decision to choose Claressa. If he wants to be with her, then he will move heaven and earth to be with her. From what is said on the streets is that he was the one that was resisting filing the papers. Remy said she didn't want anything. She just wanted to be divorced. And if he don't have any money, there's no money for her to get. As far as like alimony, if she was the breadwinner, then she's just trying to wipe her hands and be done. He was the one that was holding it up. But why are you holding it up if you have Claressa? If you have made this commitment to Claressa? Or are you holding her as a placeholder until you figure out what's really going on with Remy? That's why I really think that Claressa just needs to be quiet, enjoy your man, but do it quietly, especially because you care what people say and you try to justify your life and your lifestyle to people. I think if you're gonna be with this man at this point, just be with him in the privacy of your own life. Because right now you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win as at in the court of public recognition or court of public opinion. But he needs to make a choice. Right now, do I believe that he is going back and forth between? Yeah, I do. Because his heart isn't done with Remy. I believe that, again, I think if Claressa had just enjoyed her relationship with Pap, let them figure out and finalize, Pap and Remy finalize their situation on their own without the outside interference, I think that marriage would have been done. and then they would have been able to get on. Clarissa and Pap would have been able to get on with their lives. But I think because of the Pisces are delusional. I mean, I'm talking about Clarissa and Pat. That is this what do you call it? Entanglement. But on the flip side, just looking at Clarissa's year ahead, see, Pisces, they wear these rose colored glasses. They're looking at things on how they want to look at them and not seeing things as they actually are. And, they put themselves in these situations that, is really detrimental to them. But when Pisces finally take those rose colored glasses off, and with her year being about transformation, and it like clicks. If Pap don't, what is a shit to get off the pot, and she take them glasses off, Clarissa gonna pop up with a whole nother nigga. And don't be surprised if she's, because I think that ego is involved right now. But don't be surprised if she ain't doing what she do. Don't right now I think she wants to prove. Ego is going to make her want to prove herself, their relationship, her worth to the people. But once that shift hits and that transformation hits that ass, oh, she might pop up with a whole nother nigga and never even look back at Pat. So Pat needs to make a choice. He needs to choose her 100%. This for Clarissa is an all or nothing year. Look, nigga, you divorce her or you move on. They'll Pisces, they'll be delusional for a minute, but they have to run a cycle. And then once that cycle is done, she's gonna make a choice. And Pat might find himself in a very interesting position, because we know Remy, this is what I see. I see that Remy is gonna play Pat to get in between him and Clarissa. Clarissa's gonna be like, look, you need to shit to get off the pot. He's gonna make a choice for Remy, and once Pap and Clarissa is dissolved, Remy is going to give him the royal middle finger for playing in her face. Because Clarissa is delusional, but Pap is too. He knows better than any of us what their relationship was like and what conversations they've had behind closed doors, as well as just their own personal, private interactions. So, I think this year is going to be very, very interesting for these three people. Now, y'all know me. I am Team Remy all day, every day. But that doesn't mean that I am anti-Clarissa or even anti-Pat. I want all three of these motherfuckers to be successful, to be happy, to love, find love that is true, that's going to be for their greater good, and to let go of old patterns and old relationships or relationships that no longer meets their higher good. So I don't know any of these people, so I'm not emotionally tied to any of them. But yeah, I think this is going to be very, very interesting. I don't think that Pisces have the. I guess I'm not going to say that. I will say that I think everybody needs to make decisions that's going to be based on them. And, Clarissa, you need to be chosen 100%, no question, where nobody can say, oh, this is happening, that is happening. You deserve it, and you're young. You are young. There shouldn't this back uh, side talk or shadow talk. You should be going through this. You really shouldn't. You really, really shouldn't. And I do believe that if Remy wasn't, I don't want to say in the way because she's really, well, she might be in the way now. But I think that if Remy wasn't in the picture, that Pap would commit to Claressa. That's why I think that Claressa just needs to shh, let these two motherfuckers figure it out without your interference and then take it from there. But hey, we gonna see. I might be back to do another reading with these three because yeah, it's gonna be something. It's going to be something. But all of them have a very interesting year ahead. And yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think. Comment below. Tell me how y'all think this is gonna end or not end or what y'all see. And I will see y'all in the next video. All right, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. See you later. Salute, salute.